Fox 2 presents Hancock and Kelly.
And this morning on Hancock and Kelly, embattled St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner fires back at the Missouri Attorney General in her first written response to his allegations in his lawsuit to try to oust her from office. She calls it a power grab. Plus, the St. Louis area paid respect to a Hermann, Missouri officer who was killed by a suspect he and his partner were trying to arrest. The increasing dangers for officers in a changing society. And lining up for 2024 as some Republican presidential hopefuls test the waters in a contest that still has former President Donald Trump at the top of the heat in the Republican Party. All that and more in this week's edition of Hancock and Kelly.
And good morning and welcome to Hancock and Kelly. I'm Elliot Davis. I'm in for Andy Banker. On the right is John Hancock. On the left is Michael Kelly, and it is great being back with you guys again.
Great to have you, Elliot. Welcome aboard.
The legend. Thank you.
The legend.
Well,
that's it.
That means I'm old. Well, certainly there is a lot to get to, and we're going to get to the big news in just a second. That's former President Donald Trump saying he may be arrested in just a matter of days. So we're going to get to that later in the show. But there are a few things I want to get to first, guys. A big week. In the case of St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner and the Attorney General and his effort to oust her from office. Tuesday was the deadline for Gardner to file an answer to the Attorney General, Andrew Bailey's lawsuit. He is trying to get a judge to throw her out of office. She responded Tuesday night before the deadline, saying the Attorney General's push was little more than a power grab and that the AG suit should be dismissed. She said essentially that the cases the AG is criticizing were handled by others in her office. Of course, one of the major elements of the Attorney General's lawsuit is the Janae Edmondson tragedy, where the teenage volleyball player's legs had to be amputated following a car crash involving Daniel Riley. Now, he was a man on house arrest with 94 violations. The AG said he should have been behind bars, claims Gardner is responsible for him being out free and causing that tragic crash. The next step, of course, is a hearing. First of all, John, your thoughts about Kim Gardner's response to all this?
Well, this case is not going to get dismissed, and it's going to be heard. All of the judges in the St. Louis City Circuit Court are going to be deposed. That's why they've hired legal counsel to represent them. And this thing is going to take some time. I hope it doesn't take forever, but it's going to take some time. I think the AG will be successful. I think Kim Gardner will be ultimately removed from office. That's not going to solve the problem in the circuit attorney's office, however. You've got the chief prosecutor resigning a week or so ago. You've got the staff is less than half of what it should be and had been in the past. You've got 5 people in that office that are dealing with 100 and some murder cases. Think about that. It's unbelievable what's going on. And, whoever comes in behind Kim Gardner is going to have a huge job to remake that office.
Okay. Of course, we don't know if she's going to be thrown out of office. That's yet to be decided. As you say, it may take a long time. Does it seem like we are heaping the blame for everything wrong with the criminal justice system on Kim Gardner?
No. What we're blaming on Kim Gardner is her inability to do her job. Interestingly enough, when she ran, she said, I'm the best person to run the circuit attorney's office, which is essentially a law firm that prosecutes criminals. Now, in her filing, she says, well, I had nothing to do with the things that the Attorney General's pointing to. Those were people who work inside my office. Well, you can't have it both ways. The circuit attorney is either responsible for the people that work under her or she's not. Unfortunately, this is going to drag on for quite some time. I don't think the Attorney General will be successful in the next year. I think eventually he will be successful, but the legal process will allow this to play out. If people are looking for immediate action on the removal of Kim Gardner, they need to be paying attention to what's happening in Jefferson City as it relates to the appointment of a special prosecutor, which has moved through the legislature, and now even a potential recall option here in the city of St. Louis. I think those are going to go much quicker and will allow the voters to have a voice quicker than the Attorney General will be able to go through the legal process.
So her second term could be over before we see a resolution of this thing?
Yeah, so very likely that could be the case, unless some of this stuff in Jefferson City allows a recall election, and that potentially could happen.
Yeah, well, and the judge here does have some leeway. I mean, the judge can act pretty quickly in this process through a suspension or a temporary removal. There are some other options, so we'll just have to watch it play out.
Okay, we're going to keep a very close eye on this. The other big story with tragic outcomes, of course, shooting of 2 officers in Hermann, Missouri last week. The funeral for one of the officers killed in the shooting, that's being held today. Tragically, the one officer was killed, another was critically wounded. They tried to question a suspect at a Casey's gas station in the Hermann area. That suspect, Kenneth Lee Simpson, 35, charged with first-degree murder, among other charges. Detective Sergeant Mason Griffin died from his injuries. His funeral is going to be held today. Officer Adam Sullentrup, 31, is hospitalized in critical condition. Sergeant Griffin's visitation, I want to let you guys know, is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Owensville High School. The funeral is going to be at the same location in Owensville at 2 p.m. Some 64 officers were killed nationwide in 2022, and that's higher than the average from 2000 through 2020. What is your reaction, John? Start with you again. Your reaction, it seems like we hear more and more about police officers getting killed, shot and killed.
Yeah, and it's at a time when the police have come under unprecedented criticism by elected officials and others in the community, some of it deserved, much of it not. And, the value that we as a society place on law enforcement has diminished. And one of the results of that is you see increased violence directed toward police officers. Look, these are the folks that are the last line of defense to keep us out of anarchy. And we're seeing and living the fruits of it right now in the city of St. Louis, where the police are not respected, they're not supported by the leadership and the establishment in place, and the results are not good for the community, they're not good for victims of crime, they're not good for overall public safety.
Your thoughts about this one?
Well, I mean, you're exactly right, Elliot. When you point out, I remember just even 10 years ago when we heard of a police shooting, it would consume the news for days, weeks, and it seems like almost weekly now we're hearing about officers being shot at. John's exactly right. Some of that is related to the diminishment of the respect that we have for officers, this political culture that exists right now that seems to be wanting to blame the officers before blaming criminals. And I think then you couple that with this thought process that's coming out of our state with the ease and access to guns. There's more guns now in this country than there are people. And we're living the consequences of all of those things culminating together. This is just sad, tragic, and sick that another family is going to go through what this poor officer's family is going through.
Very quickly, what do you think has to happen to turn this around, John?
Well, we've got to support police. We've got to make sure that our police departments have enough officers in them to do the job that we ask them to do. I think you're going to need to raise the pay for a lot of police in this area so that you get potentially stronger individuals that commit to that profession than what you get when pay is low. So there are a host of problems, and I think those things would be a good start.
Guys, look very quickly at an issue that's involving police is the effort in the state legislature to have the state once again run the St. Louis Police Department. Your thoughts about that really quickly. Mike, let's start with you.
I worked on the campaign to get local control of the police department here for the city of St. Louis. I think it's important that a city has an ability to run its own police department. Having said that, now that we look at it a decade later, I think desperate times call for desperate measures. We have leadership that it's not focused on the crime issue, continues to want to. I mean, we just had a celebration earlier this week of the officers who went into the school down in South St. Louis. Our president of the Board of Aldermen, our mayor, didn't show up at those celebrations. For these officers, we have to show officers we respect them again. We have to realize that officers, like John says, are the thin red line or the thin blue line between anarchy and just complete lawlessness. I'm hopeful that we as a society and here in St. Louis are going to start to realize that we've got to start to work with our officers to bring about change, because ultimately, outside of crime, this is killing our economic opportunities in this region as well.
John, your thoughts. We have the organization that represents black police officers on the same page as the organization representing white police officers. Rarely do you find both those groups together, but they are. Your thoughts?
Yeah, what does that tell you? It tells you that there's a problem with the way the police are being governed under this mayor. And look, the city of St. Louis is a construct at the end of the day of state government. State government has every right to step in when there's a problem. There's a problem with the management of that police department by the board that the mayor has set up, and I think this bill is going to pass, and I think it's not going to solve the problem, but it's a step in the right direction.
So if you talk to the mayor, of course, you would say, I'm doing a good job and things are going better, homicides are down. Anyway, subject for another day. We're going to move on, guys. Still to come on Hancock and Kelly, we look at the aftermath of the horrific crash that cost star volleyball player Janae Edmondson her legs. It's being blamed on a man who was out on bond. Will this change the minds of how current elected officials are dealing with serious crime? We're going to talk about that in a moment.